All right, peace and wellness family. I hope that y'all are well and happy and whole and all that good stuff. I am the Queen Poe, and the intention for this video is for us to discuss our upcoming full moon that is peaking in Leo on February 1st at 5:09 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, the shadow period for this full moon starts today and it will last until February 4th. So, during this video, we are going to discuss the meaning of this planetary alignment from a spiritual perspective, of course, how it may impact our energy, and identify some practices that we can implement to utilize all of this energy for our wellness. I hope that y'all are well and thriving and enjoying the start of this new year in alignment with the Gregorian calendar. The interesting thing about this full moon, it's our second full moon of the year. And I don't know if y'all are already feeling it, but I am. I am. I'm definitely feeling this full moon energy. I was telling the wellness community yesterday during our book club meeting. Shout out to the wellness community. I see y'all tribe. Butterflies in the sky. Much love and happiness and joy to y'all. I appreciate y'all dearly. But I was telling the community yesterday, I was like, listen, what's crazy is I'm deep in this full moon energy. Yesterday, I was like, I had the urge to just deep clean everything. And y'all know full moons are all about revealing and releasing. So I was like, I literally woke up with the energy to just like release, to just deep clean my environment. I was deep cleaning the bathroom. I'm like regrouting the tub. I'm like doing all kind of things, right? So if you've been in that vibe, let me know. If you've been having the urge to like deep clean, to reorganize, to release like old clothes and like just do like a purge almost, even detoxing the body, all of that, you are definitely in alignment with this full moon in Leo energy. So without further ado, because baby, this full moon is carrying some deep, deep, deep revolutionary energy, but really spiritual revolutionary energy. So there is quite a bit to unpack and discuss with this energy. So we are going to get right into it. I want everybody to be fully aware when it comes to this full moon in Leo that peaks on February 1st. I need everybody to be aware that it's definitely setting a tone for the energy that we will be in this year, right? This spiritual revolutionary energy. We know that Pluto is in Aquarius. I did a whole video about Pluto being in Aquarius and how revolutionary that energy is alone, right? And what that means and what that looks like. And that this Pluto in Aquarius is in heavy alignment with the energy of revolution, the Haitian Revolution. So many different revolutions occurred the last time Pluto was in Aquarius. So this revolutionary energy with Pluto in Aquarius alone is very thick, but this full moon in Leo is carrying heavy spiritual revolutionary energy. And oftentimes, when we think about a revolution, we think about the physical aspects, right? We think about war and violence and battle and the physical things that go into a revolution. But I want everybody to consider, what does a spiritual revolution look like, right? What does it look like to spiritually overcome and overthrow and revolt against a system? And what types of systems will you try to or be successful in? You know, God's will. What type of system will you revolt against spiritually, right? So, what does that look like? And what does that mean for you? And the reason that this full moon in Leo carries heavy spiritual energy is not just about the full moon itself, it's also about the complementing energies and the planetary alignment. It's about the oppositions, it's about the trines. And one of the trines is Neptune, which is now in Aries. So we'll talk about that during this video as well. And trines bring harmony. So that Neptune is our planet of spirituality. You have the opposition of Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto is all about transformation and change, and Aquarius energy is about revolution. So you have that opposition of the full moon in Leo and Aquarius, the trine of Neptune and Aries, that fire sign, that Mars energy, that action energy. This is a deep spiritual revolutionary moon. So we'll talk a lot about that during this time. I have some journal prompts in alignment with that we'll get to, but first off, let's do a little warm up here. Let's bring it all the way back. Bring it black. Bring it black. Hello. Okay. But let's bring it all the way back and start at the base, start at the beginning. For anybody who's new to this, anybody who is not quite familiar with astrology, let's discuss the root. Full moons are known for being in alignment with the energy of reflecting, taking time to reflect, having a lot of just memories of the past pop up and reminders of the past, people from your past entering your life, revisiting you, sending random messages. That's full moon energy, right? So, reflection, revelations, think about the full moon and the moon and lighting up the sky and lighting up the earth, especially in full moon energy. Everything is a bit brighter, right? So the path is lit, and oftentimes there would be revolutions during full moon energy at night because the sky was its brightest but also still dark enough to move in secret, right? So the full moon carries naturally a lot of that revolutionary energy anyway, right? Because of the lighting the path while still cloaking, right? The full moon is in alignment with Yemoja, the Orisha Yemoja, who is known as the divine mother, right? So the full moon is known for elevating our emotions, elevating our divine feminine energy. In that way, our nurturing energy, our motherly energy, as well as elevating the water within. The full moon elevates the tides. It's known for creating the high tide. So it will naturally elevate the emotional water within, a bit of chaotic energy, a bit of scattered energy, right? Because we are more than 70% water. So it's elevating our tide, right? But also helping us deeply ground and connect with the water around us, right? So you may feel drawn to the water during this time. You may have the desire to take a lot of spiritual baths during this time. That's in full alignment with the full moons. It also offers us an opportunity to release and to let go in connection to that water energy, to allow things to flow away from us and to flow toward us, things that are in alignment with us, right? So it offers us the opportunity to release anything that is not aligned with our wellness, to purify ourselves in the water, which is why spiritual baths are good, to do release ceremonies, whether you do a release ceremony to the water or you do a release ceremony in the form of burning, right? Full moons are known as a good time to just release anything that is not in alignment with your wellness, that's not elevating you. Okay. So we understand a full moon. This full moon is peaking in Leo. Hmm? Let's get into Leo energy. Now, before I start, y'all know how y'all do. Y'all know how y'all do. I'm about to speak highly of Leos. Let me big them up before y'all start tearing them down in the comments and in the chat. Anytime I bring up a sign, I can say, oh, I love them because of this. This is somebody gonna be in the chat, be like, them lying Leos, them loser ass Leos. A Leo broke my heart. My baby daddy was a Leo. He ain't seen his kids in 3 months. Don't start. Don't start. Let me big the Leos up a little bit. And then you can share your feelings about the Leos after I big them up a little bit. We're not talking about the Leos in the sense of a single person. We're talking about Leo energy. Okay. Let's get into Leo energy. Now, I love Leo energy. Shout out to my niece, Big Bam, not the little one, who is one of my favorite Leos, right? But I love Leo energy because Leo is a fixed fire sign that is ruled by the sun. Leos, in alignment with that sun energy, are known for being super prideful, super confident, great leaders, very certain and sure of themselves. One thing I love about Leo energy is that they can be very vibrant, very boisterous. They are usually going to be the loudest in the room, right? That lion roar, they're represented by the lion, that lion roar. They usually are going to take charge and lead the pack, right? So that is Leo energy. They're known for that, right? Now, because of that confidence and that courage and that boisterousness and that leadership, Leos can also be known for being a little bit egotistical. Because they are very certain and very sure of who they are, because they are very secure in their identity, because they are great leaders, right? They can be known for having an ego that's as big as the sun, right? And I really think it's because of that sun ruler. We know our sun is our connection between our highest divine source and our highest divine selves. Leos are known for being very Ori led, right? For knowing and being very aware of who they are, being aware of their passions and purpose at a very young age, right? And being driven by that. They're known for being super driven. Have you seen the movie Marty Supreme? That type of energy is very Leo energy, right? I know what I want. I know who I am. I'm ambitious. I've set a goal and I'm going to get it by any means necessary. But that can somewhat lead to grandiosity. So when we have full moons in Leos, right? So think about that full moon energy in alignment with that energy. The reason why I love a good full moon in Leo is because if you don't know who you are, if you struggle with insecurity, if you struggle with imposter syndrome, if you don't know your passions, if you don't know what you really want out of life and your purpose and why you're here, full moons in Leo offers us the opportunity to have a lot of revelations centered in answering some of those questions. Revelations about what is your passion? What is your purpose in life? Revelations about spiritual gifts and who you are. Revelations about areas that you can sharpen your confidence and your courage in, offering opportunities for you to be courageous and confident. So, full moons in Leo carry a lot of great revelation energy. Oftentimes, when we talk about full moons and revelations, it's usually in alignment with having like secrets be revealed, traumas be dug up. But full moons in Leo are like, no, we're revealing your highest divine self. We're revealing your Ori energy to you, especially this full moon in Leo because it's trining Neptune in Aries. Let's get into Neptune in Aries. Let's get into that, right? Because Neptune is our planet of dreams and spirituality. Aries is our passionate fire sign that is ruled by the planet Mars, our planet of action. Aries energy is known for being super impulsive, for being super aware, for being super ambitious, and having the drive and the energy to do. Aries are known for being doers, right? Here's the thing. When we have Neptune, our planet of dreams and spirituality in Aries, resting well, we have to deeply understand that your spiritual gifts, your Ori, your highest divine self, your spiritual self, your intuition, your clairs will all be heightened and will lead during this time, right? So, this is a time period where spirituality is not going to be something that you just practice, it's going to be who you are. Right, your spiritual identity and your spiritual self will be your ego, right? And we have to understand this, and I'm going to offer some journal prompts about this later on. But we have to understand that the definition of ego is simply self identity. People have attached all of these negative connotations to the ego because society and psychology have taught you to do that. But it's always tell y'all it's not the ego that's a problem, right? Because the ego, by definition, is simply self identity. It's awareness of who you are. Ego is knowledge of self. A lack of control of the ego is the problem. An uncontrolled ego can show up as being selfish. An uncontrolled ego can show up as not caring about community and not valuing anything else other than self, right? That's an uncontrolled ego. An uncontrolled ego looks like when you make decisions, you only consider what's best for you and not what's best for the universal all. So it's not the ego that's a problem. It's not a bad thing to be aware of who you are and be aware of your identity and where you stand in any aspect of self. What becomes a bad thing is when you only care about that. That's egotistical, right? With full moons in Leo, again, we have to all be mindful of that. And I will offer some journal prompts about that later on as well, about minding the ego, right? we have to all be mindful of the ego. And one of the biggest keys to mind the ego is be aware of self, but always consider the universal all. Always consider community, always consider nature, always consider the elements, always consider the highest divine source. What is best for the universal all? Consider self, but consider self as a part of and an alignment with the all, right? When we have Neptune in Aries, as I mentioned, it's going to elevate spirituality to the point that you are going to be everything you do is going to be centered in your spiritual self. Again, your ego will be your spirituality will become your identity. Where you are, your spiritual gifts, where you are in your spiritual journey, in a sense of your spiritual gifts, your beliefs, your values, your spiritual practices, that will lead your decision making. It will lead your perspective. It will lead how you perceive certain things. Your spirituality will lead your identity. And it's going to happen quite rapidly, right? Because of that Neptune and Aries energy. Now, trines bring us harmony. Okay, we have to understand that. So, that energy of your spiritual self being elevated and you leading with spirituality, trining, bringing harmony to your full moon in Leo, those revelations about passion and purpose and what you need to do and what your next steps need to be, where you need to tap into courage and confidence is going to be deeply connected to your spiritual journey. It's going to be deeply connected to that spiritual identity. So this is a great thing. This is a great thing. And this is one of the reasons why I said this full moon is a spiritual revolution moon, because a lot of the things that you are perceiving in the world, as far as like what's going on, in our environment, what's going on politically, what's going on in these major systems. And we'll talk more about that when I get to our oppositions, which one of them is Pluto and Aquarius. A lot of the things that you are seeing happen in the world, you may notice that you're looking for the spiritual understanding. You're looking for the spiritual understanding of why is the government behaving this way. You're looking for the spiritual understanding of why are people responding in this way or are not responding in this way. You're looking for the spiritual understanding of everything. That's that Neptune in Aries energy, especially trining that full moon in Leo. Even your emotions, which that full moon in Leo is deeply connected to, you're looking for the deeper spiritual understanding of your emotions. So this is good because you're not necessarily acting out of emotion from an irrational, logic-based space, which sometimes full moon in Leo can lead you to do, right? You can be deep in logic and sometimes you can be a bit irrational, right? That chaotic energy of the full moon, of emotions coming from the full moon. What I love so much is that Neptune trine is calling us to have a spiritual perspective of our emotions, to deeply feel, to be deeply empathetic, right? But what is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this? So don't be surprised if right now you find yourself searching for deeper meanings of everything. And I'm talking about to the point that you may even be accused of being too deep, of thinking too deeply into something, of caring too much about some things and like, oh, it's not that deep, right? So don't be surprised if you find yourself getting told that quite a bit, that it's not that deep, that you're overthinking, right? Take some time and really feel that and go with that, because that's that Neptune and Aries energy. Spiritual gifts being heightened, as I said earlier, intuition being stronger, your clairs picking up, cognizance, clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, right? Having your clairs pick up a lot more ancestral communication, spiritual communication, a lot more activity in the area of spirituality, in the area of spiritual communication. That's that Neptune and Aries energy, right? So you have the elevation of the divine feminine energy, the elevation of the emotions with that full moon in Leo, the elevation of revelations, while also having that harmony of elevated spiritual energy, right? So this is a good energy to be in right now. Now, I will say this, though. I will say this. What I need everybody to deeply understand is that you still may be drawn to take action. And this is when we're going to start talking about our oppositions. You still may be drawn to take action, right? But you have to ask yourself, what is my intention with my action? Or am I simply following the fray? Am I following the crowd? Am I acting in a way that everybody tells me I should be acting, or saying what I think everybody tells me I should be saying? Or am I really moving out of and from a space of spirit led? What does it mean for my mind, my emotions, my identity, everything to be spirit led? What does it mean for my ego to be spirit led? What does that look like, sound like, and feel like for me? These are some of the questions that you need to be asking yourself. And the reason why we need to mind our actions and be very intentional, I'm talking about even down to the little things about being spirit led, is simply because opposing our full moon, we have quite a bit. Of course, we have the sun. Our sun is our connection between our highest divine self and our highest divine source. That's also known as Ori energy, right? So our sun is also known to be connected to sacred masculine energy, being connected to that logic, which is a good thing, right? The sun is the ruler of Leo. Now, when we have oppositions, let me explain what oppositions can do. When you think about opposition, I want you to think about scales, right? And if you are not perfectly balancing the scales, you will feel off. So oppositions can show you and reveal to you, especially with full moon energy, areas that you are out of balance and that you need to become more balanced in order to be well, right? So when you have that divine feminine full moon energy, opposing that sun energy, that sacred masculine energy, in order to be holistically well, you have to balance both. So, how can you take action from a space of awareness and emotions and divine feminine, right? Intuition, while also being grounded in logic and moving from your highest divine self and being in harmony with that Neptune spiritual energy, right? Venus, our planet of love, values, beauty, physical abundance. Venus, as well as relationships. Venus is also in Aquarius, opposing our full moon, but conjunct the sun. What does this mean? What does this look like? With the sun and Venus both in Aquarius, Venus, our planet of relationships, of community. This is a good time to be in community. Who is really your community? Who's your true tribe? Will be illuminated during this time. That will be highlighted and revealed to you during this time. Who are your real friends? Who are your real family members? Who's your real tribe? Who's your real community? That will be elevated during this time. And again, spirit led. It'll be easy to have an understanding of what that looks like, right? It'll be easy to have it revealed of who your true people are. Here's the thing though. If you are not paying attention and minding your ego, you may perceive certain signs and certain omens in a way that they are not meant to be understood, right? What does this look like? This can look like if somebody that you are in community with, in relationship, is not doing something exactly the way you think it should be done, or they're not performing how you think they should perform, sometimes that can lead to you misjudging someone and thinking that they are not your community when they are really your tribe, right? You have to be mindful to not judge and observe your relationships from a space of my way is the only right way. And this is why minding your ego is important, right? Because you don't want to make decisions about your relationships from a space of you got to show up exactly how I want you to show up because my way is the only way, it's my way or the highway, and that's it. That's ego talking. Spirit leading your observation, your perception looks like having an understanding of who you are, having an understanding of your desires, having an understanding of what you need and what you want in a relationship, but also understanding other people. Also, understanding their true identity and their true selves, understanding what works for them and what's best for them, and how can we complement each other. Relationships and community, friendships, family, all of that should complement each other. How can we complement each other? So I'm not looking for you to do what I do or do exactly what I say. I'm looking for you to be the best version of yourself in a way that we complement each other. So that's what you should be observing from a spiritual space in your relationships, right? So, in order to have balance, you have to be able to really balance, again, going back to that divine feminine, sacred masculine energy of that sun and that moon when you are observing your relationships. Okay. Now, also opposing this full moon, conjunct with Venus, our relationships, hmm, the sun, our Ori energy, our sacred masculine energy, we have Mercury. Mercury is our planet of communication, agreements, personal technology, and transportation. Mercury is also in Aquarius. Now, what does that mean? That means that right now, you may feel led to have these deep conversations about spirituality, these deep conversations about systems like the government, these deep conversations about revolution, these deep conversations about relationships and community and tribe, right? You may feel led to do that. That opposition of that full moon, those emotion energy, that emotion energy, that divine feminine energy, that intuition energy, something you will have to be mindful of when communicating is your emotions. And I'm not saying that you can't value and honor your emotions when you are communicating, but you have to ask yourself first, bringing it back to that trine of Neptune, are your emotions spirit led? Are you aware of these emotions? Are you aware of the roots of these emotions? What are you desiring when communicating these emotions? What are you hoping to receive in return? Are you hoping to only be told that you are right and have those emotions completely validated by being told that you are right? Or are you looking for your emotions to be understood, right? Conversations right now can make or break relationships if they are not coming from an unhealthy if they are coming from an unhealthy space, an unaware space, when it comes to your emotions, it can break your relationships. But if you are aware of those three things before having these deep, in-depth conversations, if you are also going in with the intent to understand the other person's emotions, right? If you are open to that, then you can have these conversations. So this is a good time to have conversations, but not impulsively, not from a space of like you feel a big feeling, you feel a big emotion, you have a big idea, and boom, you picking up the phone to call, or boom, you stopping to have the conversation right now. What this looks like is everybody needs, before you talk, before you go into a room or pick up the phone to communicate, you need to have the conversation with self first. Okay, have the conversation with yourself first before you go have that conversation with anybody else, just so that you can be fully aware of your emotions. And again, choose to lead with spirit first. Okay, now also in Aquarius, we have Pluto. And this is the reason why I keep talking about systems like the government. This is the reason why I keep talking about revolution and changes and transformation, because that's what Pluto is all about. Pluto is literally our planet of our generational planet of major systems like the government and change, generational change and transformation, like revolution, right? Pluto is also in Aquarius. A lot of this energy will be centered around that, as y'all are already seeing, right? A lot of this energy, when it comes to change, transformation, will be centered around all of that. This is one of the reasons why we're seeing a lot of change and transformation through personal technology right now, right? It's because of that Pluto and Aquarius energy. This is one of the reasons why we're seeing a lot of revolts and protests and things right now, because of that Pluto and Aquarius energy. This is one of the reasons why you're seeing a lot of people speak out right now, because that Pluto and Aquarius with Mercury energy. This is one of the reasons why you are seeing people be very emotional and very passionate, because of that Pluto and Aquarius energy opposing that full moon and Leo energy, and us already being in the shadow period of that, right? Now, what does this look like for you? For you to be in this energy from a wellness centered space, the main thing that you are going to have to do, again, tap into that Neptune and Aries energy. What does this all mean from a spiritual perspective? What is the spiritual meaning behind everything that's happening? What is the spiritual energy that the government is carrying right now? What is the spiritual energy that the protests are carrying? What is the spiritual meaning of all of this? And from a spiritual perspective, what is my role in this? Right? So there's a difference, and I want everybody to be clear here. And I'm going to do a journal prompt about this later on, 2 journal prompts. There's a difference between radical revolution and methodical revolution. Radical revolution can look like that full moon energy. It can look like emotions running high. So we are going to do wild, radical, unconventional things in order to create rapid change and to show that we don't agree. And radical revolution is necessary sometimes. But then there's also methodical revolution. There's also revolution that looks like taking a moment of pause, not responding immediately, taking a moment of pause, making a very clear, setting a goal, first of all, then making a very clear, methodical plan to create change and transformation. Methodical revolution is not impulsive. Methodical revolution doesn't usually respond quickly or fast to whatever is happening. Methodical revolution takes a pause, reflects, sets a goal, plans, and then does, right? And again, there's a time and a place for both, and both are necessary. Neither is a bad choice, right? But what does radical revolution and methodical revolution look like for you from a spiritual perspective? What does it look like to be a radical spiritual revolutionary? What does that look like? I can give some examples. Radical revolution from a spiritual perspective, a radical spiritual revolution looks like going straight to the spell, looks like going straight to the root. That's what it looks like. Oh, what happened? Up, I got a root for that. What we want? Okay, I got a spell for that, right? What does a methodical spiritual revolution looks like? It looks like instead of doing a spell or a root or something that you know is going to work very quickly and that you can do right now, it looks like taking a moment of pause, tapping into your spiritual gifts, assessing the situation, assessing all parties involved in the situation, getting a deep understanding of their roots, setting the goal, deciding what you want, assessing what energy, what vibration is that on, and doing the manifestation work to align both, right? And that could look like a combination of spells and roots. That could look like a combination of different energetic forces being sent out. That can look like a combination of things. That's, in my opinion, one of the examples of what a methodical spiritual revolution could look like, right? It takes more time, it takes more analyzation, it takes some intention, a lot of intentional time with your spiritual gifts, assessing and analyzing what's going on. It takes, from a spiritual perspective, setting a goal and assessing the vibration, the energy of that goal. It takes some spiritual assessments about the plan, right? Like, how do we come up with the method to align those vibrations? How do we do that? What does that look like, right? So that's what a methodical spiritual revolution could look like. This is the time for that because we also have Mars, our planet of action, in Aquarius with the sun, with Mercury, with Venus, and with Pluto, right? So Mars is telling us to take action in those areas. Mars is telling us it's the time to do, it's the time to really be open and aware and tap into what? That spiritual energy. Don't forget what I said. Neptune, our planet of spirituality and dreams, is in Aries. The ruler of Aries is Mars, right? So we are, again, because of that Mars and Aquarius energy, we're being called to tap into that spirituality and handle this from a spiritual perspective, right? So again, the spiritual revolution looks like leading, but from a spirit-led space. It looks like tapping, allowing your intuition, tapping into your spiritual gifts and being spirit-led before doing anything. You need to be spirit-led before talking, before taking action, before setting a goal, before coming up with a plan, before anything. You need to tap into your spiritual gifts, okay? So We talked about our oppositions. We talked about our trine of Neptune. Do I want to get into this? I can, but I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Short and sweet. I was going to skip over it, but I'm not because it's necessary. Squaring our full moon in Leo, we have Uranus, which is our planet of innovation and global technology. Squaring, meaning bringing challenges to. Okay. There's been some changes, some innovative changes that have occurred in global technology. This is going to be a problem later on. And y'all know I'm normally the person that's like, we need to embrace changes in technology. We need to embrace this current one that has happened that affected socials. Something in this milk ain't clean. Something in this milk ain't clean, where everybody had to agree to new terms and conditions and all of that thing. Something in this milk ain't clean. And y'all know I don't never, be on my begonia. Shout out to the wellness community. We our Sunday film watch party last week was begonia. We talked a lot about conspiracy theories and all of that. Y'all know I don't never be on my begonia. Hello? Okay? But this full moon square and all of this happening at this time where algorithms have shifted and things have changed suddenly, and there was like a whole upheaval. Something in this milk ain't clean. Okay? And we gonna see it later on down the line. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Okay? And it's going to be deeply connected to the revolutionary energy that's coming forward. And it is deeply connected to that, right? That's happening, but also elevating. Something in this milk ain't clean. So I will say this. I do advise, watch what you say on socials. Watch how much you show of what you do, especially spiritual wise, right? Your spirituality, showing your altars, showing your workings, all of that stuff. Just be mindful of how much of yourself, from a spiritual perspective, you are sharing. This is a good time to practice cloaking. This is a good time to play dumb, play stupid, play detached, play unaware, right? And just observe, observe, observe. And whatever that looks like to you, I'm not saying, oh, don't post on socials or don't, share anything. Whatever that looks like for you, whatever it looks like to cloak for you, right? This is a time where, like I said earlier, your community, your tribe will be revealed to you. Focus heavily on building your tribe and your community in sacred spaces, right? Which it's possible to do that verbally, virtually, but really also in person, just focus on that. Be mindful of how much you're putting out there on the internet. Okay, just be mindful. All right. And we also have a trine of Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. So this will be and Chiron is in Aries with Neptune, our planet of spirituality and dreams. Again, Chiron is the asteroid that's known as the wounded healer. So this is going to be a good time to do like deep shadow work and have like, we talked earlier about those revelations about passions, those revelations about your purpose, those revelations about areas that you could be more confident and more courageous in and how to do that. But this is also going to be a good time to release wounds and hurt and harm and trauma that's connected to why you haven't been practicing your passions and why you haven't been living a life of purpose and things that are stopping you from being confident and courageous. So that Chiron trine again, trines bring us harmony. That Chiron trine and Chiron being conjunct with Neptune and Aries is going to be good, because this is going to be a good opportunity under this full moon for you to release things like imposter syndrome, self-sabotage, self-doubt. It's going to be a good time for you to release things like negative self-talk. So later on, I'm going to offer y'all some herbs that will be centered in things that you can do to release negative energy that's around you, but also within you, to release your own imposter syndrome, to release your own self-doubt, negative self-talk. I'm going to offer you some herbs to be able to do that later on. Okay. But again, this is also a good time to do a burning release ceremony, a water release ceremony for either or. Okay. Now, I talked about all of the planetary alignment. I talked about the energy impact, what to do. Let's get straight to these journal prompts. Then we're going to do crystals and herbs, and we up out of here. We up out of here. Okay. Journal prompts. Let me get my water. Thank y'all so much for the love offerings as well. I'm seeing the cash apps. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. And may it be abundantly returned unto you. I appreciate it. I see the super chats. Thank y'all so much. And much love to y'all. I appreciate you. I almost swallowed a bunch of air, child. Okay, let's do journal prompts. What is your personal inner power? And this is to really help you tap into that Leo energy of confidence, courage. Now, y'all know, if just in case you're new here, y'all know I like thick journal prompts, hefty. So when I say number one, but I give you 3-4 questions, we still on number one. Keep up. Wellness community, y'all gonna get the notes. You ain't got to write them down. But if you ain't in the wellness community, which you need to get into it, check the scroll at the bottom, or you can scan the QR code, whatever side of the screen it's on, and hop in the wellness community. It's only $5 a month. You get all the things. You get the notes for the moon, the full moon planetary alignment notes, new moon, all of the things. You get to be in the book club. You get to be a part of the film watch parties, the family Q&A. You get the thing, the group chat. You get the things for $5 a month. That's it. That's all. Little 2-liter. Olipop. $5 a month. Pull up on us. But write these journal prompts down. We on number one. We got 2 more questions for number one. Number one, what is your personal inner power? What is your biggest emotional strength? Your biggest mental strength? Your biggest physical strength and spiritual strength? So that's one question, but I'm giving you some follow-ups to help you identify your power. Number one, what is your personal inner power? Biggest mental strength, physical strength, emotional strength, spiritual strength. Identify your strength in each holistic area. And that is how you identify your personal inner power. That's number one. Number two, understanding that the ego is simply self-identity, not all the extra. The ego is a devil, demon, horror. The ego is the joker. Not all of that. Understanding that the ego is simply self-identity. How do you practice balancing your ego with spirituality? What does having a spirit-led ego mean to you? How do you practice allowing your spirit to lead your ego? How do you practice that? Understanding that the ego is simply self-identity. How do you practice balancing your ego with your spirituality, with your spiritual relationship, your relationship with your highest divine self, highest divine source? What does having a spirit-led ego mean to you? And how do you practice that? How do you practice allowing your spirit to lead your ego? Number three, what does holistic freedom mean to you? Holistic freedom. That means, what does physical freedom mean to you? What does mental freedom mean to you? What does emotional freedom mean to you? What does spiritual freedom mean to you? What does holistic freedom mean to you? I want you to script your vision of every aspect of holistic freedom. And to help with that, tap into the five senses. So, what does your physical freedom mean to you? What does physical freedom mean to you? Now, using all five senses, I want you to vision that, deeply describe that. I want you to script your vision of holistic freedom physically, from a physical perspective. Then do the same thing for mental. What does mental freedom mean to you? Now, using all five senses, script your vision of mental freedom. What does that look like, smell like, taste like, sound like, feel like? What is holistic freedom? What is the vision for that? Right? So, what to move through every aspect of holistic wellness, identify what freedom in each area looks like, then use all five senses to script the vision for that. Now, still going to that on number 3. What is blocking you from manifesting this vision? And I want you to answer that for each aspect of holistic freedom. What is blocking you from manifesting that physical freedom? What is blocking you from manifesting that vision that you just described of emotional freedom? What is blocking you from manifesting your vision, your holistic vision, all five senses of spiritual freedom? What is blocking you from manifesting that? And that is also what you want to release with this full moon in Leo. Release that shit. Release whatever is blocking you from manifesting your vision of freedom. Okay? That was all number 3. Number 4, what does radical revolution mean and look like to you? How and why do you think radical revolution works? When do you think it is valuable to implement or practice radical revolution? What role do you play in radical revolution? I'm going to read that one again. Number 4. What does radical revolution mean and look like to you? How and why do you think radical revolution works? When do you think it is valuable to implement radical revolution? What role do you play in radical revolution? What's your role in radical revolution? And then number 5 is the same question, but methodical revolution. And I explained the difference between the two earlier, in case you're late. Number 5, what does methodical revolution mean and look like to you? How and why do you think methodical revolution works? When do you think it is valuable to implement methodical revolution? What role do you play in methodical revolution? Okay, so same question. Not 1, 2, 3, release them. Y'all are silly. Why is y'all say 1, 2, 3, release them? Shout out to her. That let me tell you, that sister, this is why I always tell about this community. Nothing is too small to be your thing. That sister was at a funeral. I wish that I could be the fourth of the day. And she done went viral. Sister getting booked for gigs and all kind of things. The internet was laughing. Sister made her, they done laughed her into a career. Okay? Nothing is too small for you. Everything is a big thing. You don't know what's going to be your thing. You can get up on the internet and open up a can a unique way. Next thing you know, you're going to be the world's best can opener. Huh? You don't know what it's going to be. Okay? Do you? Crystals and herbs. Crystals and herbs. Now, for these crystals are going to be centered in protection as well as emotional wellness, again, with all of that full moon energy, relieving any stress and helping you to release some of that imposter syndrome, low self-esteem, self-doubt, etc. First crystal in alignment with that full moon Leo energy, of course, is peridot. Peridot. Or some people say peridot. I like to say peridot. Like period poo, but peridot. It's for luck and protection. Red jasper for calming emotions. Sunstone for confidence, clarity, and self-awareness, especially because we know the ruler of Leo is the sun. Sunstone. Black onyx for protection against stress and anxiety. And amber for healing and mental wellness. Amber, right? This is also a good time to wear some amber oil if you have amber oil or perfumes that's based in amber. It's a good time for that. Running through them again. Peridot, red jasper, sunstone, black onyx, amber. Oh, you said the T is silence. So what is it? Peridot? 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 The T is silent. It's peridot. Oh. Oh. My thing with silent letters, if you ain't want us to say it, don't put the letter in there. I'm saying Salmon. If you didn't want me to say it, what you put the letter in there for? American English always want to be so unique. Why the fuck would you just throw a letter in some shit? It's so unnecessary. That's how you know we just be doing the most. Why'd you just throw it with you for aesthetics? We just gonna add this letter for aesthetics. I'm saying it. I'm saying it. Salmon cakes. Salmon. Kiss my ass. Then that's how everybody always want to be the smart. This the ego. The ego. Everybody got to be the smartest nigga in the room. It's not Salmon, it's salmon. It's Salmon. Huh? When you see a nigga named Sal, do you say Sal? Hey, Sal. No, you say Sal. It's Solomon. A silent letter. Silent my ass. The letter is there. At one point, they said black people were silent, but we were. No, I'm joking. We were wolves. Okay, stop. Let's be for real now. Come on, herbs. Now, for these herbs, you can put them in a floor wash. You can smudge with these herbs as well, except for the last one. Clove for protection from gossip, negative words spoken, self-doubt, etc. Negative spells. Clove. Mullein protects relationships from evil energy. That Venus conjunction with the Sun, Mercury, Mars, Pluto, etc. Mullein is good for protecting relationships from evil energy, negative talk, etc. It's also good for opening up the throat chakra and minding communication. Mullein. Bay leaf for protection of energy, purification of energy. Bay leaf. Hyssop for banishing and emotional clarity. Hyssop. And then the last one is black pepper for banishing negative energy within self. And that's that banishing imposter syndrome, self-doubt, etc. Right? Black pepper is good for that. Now, again, I heavily advise that you make a floor wash with these herbs. You can put them in a big pot of hot water. You let them steam for a while. Then you let it cool down, add a cup of white vinegar, and that's your floor wash. Okay, you can add a cup of white vinegar, a pinch of pine, and that's your floor wash. Okay. Or if you want to, with the clove, the mullein, as well as the bay leaf, you can, in a pinch of the black pepper, you can make a good tea with some of these herbs, okay? So running through them again: clove, mullein leaf, bay leaf, hyssop, black pepper, and you can also smudge all of them. Okay, family. So we've done our crystals and herbs. We did our journal prompts. We talked about our conjunctions and oppositions and trines and squares and all of that good stuff, the planetary alignment. Keep in mind that this full moon peaks on February 1st at 5:09 p.m. Eastern time. Keep in mind that the shadow period starts today and will last until February 4th. So you have all of that time to be in full alignment with this full moon energy and to do your release work for that. Wellness community, I just published the notes in the Patreon. I hope those are well received. There we go. They should be posted now. I love y'all dearly. Okay. Be well, be peace, be joy. Follow your spirit, lead with spirit, mind that ego, have a spirit-led self-identity, know who you are, think like it, walk like it, talk like it, tap into that Leo energy of confidence and courage. Also tap into that Leo energy of leadership and ambition. Know who you are and be well. Okay. Thank you again to everybody who sent a love offering. Let me shout y'all out. I remember this time. Let me shout y'all out. Asia Morgan, Asia Dawson, Morgan. Oh, Brown Sugar Goddess. I appreciate you, Sister Queen. Melody, Clarissa, Stanley, and Kai. I appreciate y'all and everybody who sent super chats. I can't pull y'all all up on the stream, y'all, but I appreciate everybody who sent super chats as well. Thank y'all for the love offering. May it be abundantly returned unto you in full wellness and light and love and manifested in the way that you need it. I appreciate the energy. I receive it abundantly well. Thank you so much. And family, I love y'all dearly. Wellness community, I will see y'all soon. Okay, be well. Be well. Much love, y'all. And happy full moon.